Okay, now last step in our modeling phase is to create the bed here. Now the bed is, as I said, it's two level bed, something that looks like that. So now you can make it hard on yourself to create this bed, or you can make it really easy. So we'll see the easy way to do it. So I'm actually gonna model this out of just using a box also. Okay, so we'll see how you can do it using editable poly, and then creating it by just modifying this box. Okay, so now these are the dimensions that I have here, and the rest, the width and the length of the bed, actually I have it in the drawing, which is right here. Okay, so let's start this thing. I'm gonna go to create geometry, standard, and then a box, and then I'm gonna just using snap toggle, and I don't need the midpoint anymore, so I'm just gonna keep it to vertex. This looks like right. So I'm gonna create a box here, just the leg of the bed. So let's keep the snapping the segments 1 for now. The length, the whole height of the bed is, according to what I have here, is 220 as well. So I'm gonna make the height here as 220 of the bed. So eventually we'll have to actually raise the bed the 2 steps that we got up off the floor. So the height now is actually starting from the 0, 0. So for here, I actually want to hide everything else as well, but I want to keep the bed plan in here. So I'm gonna right click, and as we did before, I'm gonna hide everything that is not selected. So what I ended up having is the floor plan, or the top view of the bed, and then the object that I have here. Okay, so here you can see in this bed that we have these kind of borders going in this direction. So we'll need to create segments for them, and so we'll have to create, so you can divide it into a certain number of segments, or we can just create the segments as we need them here. So here, just gonna create these segments. I hide the segments. And you can do similar calculations to what we did before. For example, if I'm telling you here that the height here is 40 and then 120. So obviously this is kind of a multiplication of 40 centimeters, right? So you'll have to divide the 220 by 40. And if you do that, we'll end up with kind of 5 sections here. So you can divide this into 5 sections, so you can know when is this line will occur and when this one will. For me, I want to divide the 220 actually by 20 centimeters. So I will end up having 20 segments. Okay, so now each segment is, oh sorry, it should be 220 divided by 20. So I should have 11 segments here. There we go. So each segment here is 20 centimeter. If I want to have it by 10, I'll make it 22. Okay, 22 works well for me. I'm gonna keep that. Then we're gonna convert this to poly, convert to editable poly. And so here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna take this, copy it over to the other side. Sorry. As I said, it's always a bad idea actually to keep the snap when you're not using it. So I'm just gonna clone this to the element. And then now that I wanna move it to here, I'm going to turn the snap on and move this point from here to there. I completely displaced my object, but I can kind of move it back to 110. There we go. Okay, so now I'm gonna make these bridges that we have here. All right, so this one I'm gonna count 1, 2, 3, and then in the fourth there will be 1 up and then 1 down, because this bar is a bit wider than the rest. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Here and there. I'm gonna do the same thing here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right, I'll take these two and I'm gonna inset them a bit by, let's say, 2 centimeter. Okay, or let's say 1.5, 2.5. There we go. And then I'm gonna bridge it. Okay. Here you'll see we'll have a gap, and then one small one, and then a gap, and another small one. And I'm gonna leave this gap here, take this, and then another gap. I'm gonna take that, this one, and this one. I'm gonna repeat the same thing and set them. And then say okay, and bridge them. Alright, so now for this one will be just a repeat. So we're gonna count 160 of this level to create the thicker bar here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that's my 60 here. Gonna take 1 up and 1 down, and then same as this one here. Just gonna look at them on the side just to make sure that they're lined up. and insert them, and then bridge. So insert them, yes, and then bridge. Nice. Okay, and so again I'm gonna leave this gap and this one here and there. Same story. Insert, yes, and then bridge. Okay, so we have this side pretty much done. Now I'm gonna copy this actually as an element and move it to the other side here. Okay, you can see the issues that snapping can create for me, where this, even though I moved it this direction, it's copying to an angle. So I'm actually gonna undo this, turn this one off, and then copy it normally, so you can see this one stays at the same level. And then if you want to move it, or actually you should move it so it's lined up here, we're going to turn on the snapping again and remove it here, or move it to this location. So now I'm gonna use the same trick to create these bars here on both sides. Okay, so I'm gonna go to a polygon, select these two and these two, and set them, say yes, and then bridge them. Okay, I'm gonna do that for the other level. Insert, yes, and then bridge. There we go. Okay, so you can see the bed is starting to shape up here. Now for the mattress here, you can either create it out of these shapes that we have in the middle. Okay, again using the same idea, take this and that, and then say bridge. Right, and then I would take this part in the middle and set it a little bit, just so we create kind of an inner part. So it should be like a ½ centimeter, and then extrude it up by, let's say, 20. Right, or since these are just boxes, you can just technically create a box. I'm keeping actually the snapping tool because hopefully it will help me doing this. I don't need all these segments in this box, just need to modify the height. Okay, or maybe 25. So either doing a box or this, I would recommend creating a separate box, so later on material will be easier to apply different material if the object is separate. Alright, now going back here, you'll notice we have some kind of railing in the second level of the bed. Oops. So we have the railing, and then we have the ladder here that takes you up. This side here in the back is quite easy, so let's just do that first so we are done with it. Again, I don't need the snap anymore, so I'm gonna turn it off. I'm gonna select this, go to edit, polygon, and sort of the same idea. Okay, insets, I believe we did 2.5, and then Bridget. However, here we'll have to just inset it, and instead of bridging it, we're just gonna extrude it, since we don't have the element yet to inset it to, or sorry, to bridge it to. Okay, did not create this element yet. So we can create this till sort of reaches 145. Not quite, maybe 146. Yes. Okay, so now the ladder is the same idea actually. Again, we're gonna say a box. I'm gonna turn this on. Okay, we're gonna create a certain segment to it. Let's say 20. Okay, and then convert this to a poly, and sort of the same story. Gonna copy it over. Sorry, so I'm gonna copy it as an element, not as an object, so we can bridge it. Gonna copy it over here. Turn this back on, and then take this and snap it there. Okay, so in here actually it's easier for me to kind of limit the height of the box till this bar instead of that bar. Okay, so gonna undo this. And I'm gonna change the height till there. Just gonna be 67 and a half. Okay, and again same idea, going back to the original plan, and then poly element, and then again I'm gonna turn this one off, copy it to the element, yes, turn it back on, and then move. I'm gonna grab this point here and move it to this corner. Okay, so now you can see here that the panels here shows up from upper front of our ladder. Honestly, you can just create a box and copy it over and over, and that would be it, I guess. But if you want to create it out of this shape here, then you'll have to kind of fashion something up. So let's say let's start from this step because this is a bit too low, and here I'm going to extrude it by, let's say 2 centimeters. And then guess what, we'll take these here and there and bridge them. So you kind of have that effect. The nice thing about using the poly and the segment is that you're sure that your division is equal. So now basically we have 1, 2, 3, and then 4. You can do that all together. So you can decide to divide these by, let's say, 5 in between. Not sure if that works. So here and there. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here and there. Right, so maybe 5 is a bit too much. I'm gonna go for 4. This will end up giving me kind of the same 4 steps that we need, but it became too high, so I'm gonna make 3, 4 segments in between only. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, and then repeat. Okay, that looks better. So same story here, end set, and then yes. Okay, and then I'm sorry, not end set. We're gonna extrude first. I'm gonna say yes, and then I'm gonna take these sides here and there and bridge them to create the steps. So basically this is all what we're doing. We're just creating the polygons that we can bridge together to either create an opening or create a certain geometry. Now here, I want this to extend up till this point. So I'm gonna just, either you can extrude it or actually you can move it up, but be careful not to have the snap tool on. Okay, I'm gonna look at it from the side to make sure I have a certain height. So if we're moving it up, we're actually just moving it either according to coordinates or just by guessing. But if you're using extrude, you can extrude it to a certain number. So here I'm gonna say to 10. Nice. All right. Okay, so I'm not sure about the detail in the back, but my guess is that this side here gets extruded, so it kind of connects there. The amount of extrusion is probably maybe 7.5 or 8. 7.5 it is. Okay, so now we're done with the bed almost. If we bring everything together now and say unhide all except for the stairs, for the ceiling, you'll notice our bed is a bit dipped into the floor. So my floor line is here and the bed is there. So I'm gonna move it up by 10 centimeters, which is the height of these 2 steps. So so each step is 10 centimeters. The total will be 20. Okay, I'm gonna take this and same thing, I'm gonna move it up by 20. Okay, so that concludes the modeling phase. Next and finally, we're gonna talk about lighting up this room.